Imagine standing in the heart of Saqqara, the ultimate VIP graveyard for Egypt's greatest pharaohs, where the desert sands have guarded secrets meant only for the dead for thousands of years. Suddenly you are faced with a colossal door made of rare pink granite, standing 15 feet tall and shimmering under the relentless sun. The ancients called this a false door, a symbolic gateway for the soul to travel between our world and the afterlife. Normally, that is where the story ends, but this door hides a trick of history. Behind this massive, unopenable slab of stone lies a real entrance to a tomb lost for over 4,000 years. Deep within the shadows lies Prince User-Ka-Re, User-Re-Fa. Despite holding powerful titles like hereditary prince and minister, he was completely erased from every official king list and royal family tree. Why did history try so hard to forget him? Was he a victim of a bloody power struggle, or was his legacy destroyed in a religious purge at the dawn of the 5th dynasty? The mystery only deepens when we find the coffin of Lady Shene-Aa. This 3,000-year-old masterpiece presents a paradox that defies all logic. It has no lid, no seams, and no visible entry point. How did the ancients place her body inside this perfectly sealed shell without leaving a single mark? And deep below the surface at the Serapeum, we find granite sarcophagi as heavy as 50 cars, carved with 90-degree precision and tucked into spaces so cramped they seem impossible to reach. Today, we aren't just opening stone doors. We are using state-of-the-art CT scans to see through ancient linen and unsealed secrets buried deep underground. From forgotten princes to impossible coffins, join me as we decode the mysteries the ancient Egyptians swore to take to their graves. Don't look away, because history isn't gone. It is just sleeping behind massive pink granite doors. The day has finally loosened its grip, and the world is sliding quietly into evening, softly. If you are listening from a busy place, from a city apartment with a faint hum in the walls, or from a house where the dishes are done and the lights have softened, let your shoulders drop just a little. Let your jaw unclench. Let the breath arrive the way a tide arrives, without effort, without hurry, for the next while. Tonight, we are not chasing history gently. We are simply walking beside it, the way you might walk beside a sleeping river, close enough to hear the gentle movement, far enough to feel safe. Somewhere beneath the wide, patient sky of Egypt, the past has been resting for thousands of years, wrapped in sand and silence. And in that silence, there is a kind of kindness, the kind that does not demand anything from you. Imagine Saqqara. Not the Saqqara of postcards or crowds, but Saqqara at the hour when the sun is low and the desert becomes a soft field of color. Honey and copper, rose and pale gold. The wind moves across the dunes in small ripples like quiet waves, and every grain of sand seems to know its place. Even the heat feels gentler now, as if it has learned how to whisper. In the distance, the outlines of ancient stone rise from the earth. Step-like shapes, low walls, broken lines that still hold their dignity. You do not need to know every name, every date, every dynasty. Tonight, the details can stay light. What matters is the feeling, the sense that time here is wider than your worries, and older than your restless thoughts. As you walk, your footsteps make almost no sound, just a hush against sand, a soft crunch against scattered stone. The air smells dry and clean, with a faint mineral scent, like warm clay that has been left to rest. Somewhere, far away, a nightbird calls once, and then the desert returns to its long, thoughtful quiet. And then, almost as if the landscape has been waiting to show you, something appears. A door. Not a wooden door, not a door with hinges or handles, but a tall slab of pink granite, standing in the sand like a calm guardian. It is the color of dawn trapped inside stone, rose with tiny sparkles, as if someone pressed starlight into the granite and left it there to glimmer when the angle is right. The surface is cool to imagine, even from a distance. If you could place your palm against it, you might feel a steady, ancient chill, like the inside of a shaded cave. The stone does not feel threatening. It feels grounded. It feels like a promise of stillness. In Egypt, there is a kind of doorway that is not meant for human hands. A false door. A symbolic threshold, an architectural whisper, where the living stand on one side and the unseen world is believed to be on the other. The ancient Egyptians imagined that a spirit could pass through such a doorway, moving gently between realms, visiting, receiving offerings, staying connected. A door that is not forced open, but simply allowed. And as you stand before this granite threshold, you begin to sense why this idea has lasted so long. Because it is comforting. It suggests that separation is not always absolute, that love, memory, and presence can continue to move in quiet ways, even when time seems to have carried everything far away. The granite is pink, and that matters more than you might think. Most false doors were carved from limestone, common, pale, easy to shape. But pink granite is stubborn, it is heavy with its own patience. It must be quarried with care, transported with effort, and polished with devotion. To choose granite for a symbolic door is to choose permanence. It is to say, this passage matters enough to be made of the hardest calm we can find. And so you stand there, breathing slowly, feeling the simple wonder of it. A door that does not open, a door that still invites. Now, in your imagination, let your breath match the scene. Inhale, as if the sky is widening. Exhale, as if the sand is smoothing itself. Here is a gentle truth about nighttime stories. You do not have to hold them tightly. You can let them drift through you. And as this story drifts, it begins to offer you a small thread of curiosity, soft and safe, like a lantern seen through fog. Because this granite door is different. Not because it is dramatic, not because it is dangerous, but because there is a feeling almost tender that something is waiting behind it. Not a jump scare, not a rush of noise, just a deeper quiet. Archaeologists sometimes describe discoveries as openings, but the most meaningful openings are not loud. They happen in slow layers, a brush against sand, a careful look at a seam, a pause long enough to notice what others might miss. And in Saqqara, under the late day sun, the careful work of hands and patience brings a surprising idea into focus. What if this symbolic doorway hides something real? What if the threshold for the spirit also protects a passage for the living, one that has slept, undisturbed, for centuries upon centuries? The thought is not frightening. It is oddly soothing, because it suggests that even in a world that feels overexposed and always online, there are still places that have been left alone, places that have kept their secrets without stress, without urgency, simply resting until the right moment. You might notice when you stand here that your own body recognizes that kind of rest. A door sealed by time, a silence that does not ask you to perform, a mystery that does not demand an answer tonight. And yet, the mind loves a soft question, one it can hold the way you might hold a warm mug between your hands. So let the question arrive gently. If this door was made for a soul to pass through, what kind of life was meant to be remembered here? Somewhere behind that granite, a name once mattered enough to carve into stone, a presence mattered enough to place offerings nearby, an eternal menu, a list of bread and beer, quiet abundance written into the wall, so that hunger could never reach the one who rested inside. And there is another kind of abundance too, the abundance of time, more than 4,000 years. Try to let that number soften in your mind rather than sharpen. 4,000 years is not a countdown. It is a long, slow exhale, an ocean of evenings, one after another, each sunset folding into the next, each night covering the desert like a blanket. The people who lived here are gone, yes, but their careful work remains like handwriting that has not faded. And because it remains, we can meet them without disturbing them. We can learn without grabbing. We can witness without rushing. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Ancient Sleep Story. Here, you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. And if tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. Only if it feels easy, only when you are ready. Now, let us return to the desert. The granite door stands with the calm confidence of something that has never needed to hurry. Around it, the air cools by degrees. The light becomes more amber, more forgiving. Dust motes drift in the slanting glow, moving so slowly that you can almost imagine they are floating underwater. That image, dust like underwater light, brings us very gently to a theme that will follow us through the night. Water. In a land that looks like it belongs only to sand, water is the hidden storyteller. Water is the quiet engineer. Water is the patient force that lifts, shapes, carries, and returns. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water or a gentle flow in the dark? Hold that question softly like a pebble in your pocket, because tonight, in the hush behind this pink granite threshold, we will wander through a few wonders that do not shout. We will move through corridors of time the way you might move through a dim museum after closing. Slow steps, gentle gaze, the feeling that everything around you is still breathing in its own quiet way. And eventually, we will come to something like an answer. Not a sharp answer. Not a debate. A picture. A picture of how the ancient world used patience, craft, belief, and sometimes the simple power of rising water to make heavy things feel lighter. But for now, we stay at the beginning. We stay with the door. In the last warmth of dusk, you can imagine the surface of the granite catching the fading sun. The tiny mineral grains glow and then dim. The color shifts from rose to mauve to a softer, deeper shade, like a blush turning into night. And in that slow shift, you feel the body relaxing further, because night is coming, and with night comes permission. Permission to stop solving, permission to stop proving, permission to just be. So take one more slow breath with the desert. Inhale, cool air, wide sky. Exhale, warm sand, quiet stone. And in that breath, let the smallest, gentlest cliffhanger form, no more than a whisper. What if this door, meant for spirits, was never truly sealed at all? What if it has been waiting patiently, lovingly, for someone to notice the difference between a symbol and a sleeping entrance? The wind moves again across Saqqara, drawing soft lines on the sand like someone smoothing a bedspread. The door remains, and somewhere behind it, history rests, still, heavy and calm, like a dream that has not yet been told. The desert does not change quickly. Even as dusk deepens, the horizon stays steady, and the world feels as if it is settling into a long exhale. The pink granite door remains where it has always been, cool in the imagination, heavy with calm, quietly holding its place between the living and the unseen. If you were here in person, you might notice how your thoughts slow down without being asked. The land offers fewer sharp edges to catch on. No urgent voices, only wind, sand, stone, and time. You stand a few steps away from the false door, letting your eyes trace its carved lines. The edges are clean but softened by age, the way river stones become smooth without losing their shape. There may be faint inscriptions, names, titles, offerings, arranged with the careful symmetry of a prayer. And whether you can read them or not, you can feel what they were meant to do. They were meant to keep a connection alive. In the ancient Egyptian imagination, a person did not vanish when the body fell asleep forever. A person became something quieter, something that could still be nourished by memory, by respect, by ritual. The false door was a meeting place, a threshold where the living could speak gently, and the dead could be welcomed without fear. The light has turned warmer, more amber than gold. It drifts across the sand and pools in small hollows like honey. And in that glow, you notice something close to the door. A stone surface that feels like a table. An offering table, not a dining table, not a place for chatter, but a steady slab carved with images of bread, beer, and simple foods. Sometimes lists were added, an eternal menu, a promise written into stone. Loaves, jars, onions, flowers, incense. Not because the dead could chew or swallow, but because the act of offering was itself a kind of love. It is hard to hate the world while imagining a list of bread meant to last forever. And as you picture it, your mind may soften into something familiar. The comfort of being cared for. The comfort of knowing that someone somewhere once thought, "You will not be forgotten. You will not go hungry. You will not be alone." That is one reason these places still matter. Now, as you keep breathing slowly, let this scene widen. Around the false door, the desert is open and pale. But the ground is not as simple as it looks. Saqqara is a city of sleeping architecture, shafts and chambers and corridors that have rested beneath the sand for thousands of years. From above it seems like emptiness. From below it is a hidden library. And tonight we are going to step into that library, not abruptly. We will enter the way you might enter a quiet home when everyone is asleep, softly, respectfully, with the feeling that even your breath should be kind. Somewhere near the door there is an opening, perhaps a stairway, perhaps a shaft with a ladder, perhaps a passage revealed by careful work. The entrance is not dramatic, it is practical. It is simply there, like an invitation left for someone patient enough to arrive at the right hour. You take a step closer, the air changes, it is a little cooler, a little denser, as if the underground keeps its own weather. The smell becomes more mineral, more like stone after rain, even though rain is rare here. And you feel in your body the subtle reassurance of shade. If you have been carrying heat all day, the heat of tasks, of conversations, of responsibility, you may enjoy how quickly the imagination cools when it walks into shadow. Now, one slow step at a time, you begin to go down. It might be a staircase of worn stone, each step shallow and smooth. It might be a narrow descent where your hand brushes a wall for balance. Either way, your pace is easy. There is no rush. The story will not run ahead of you. Down here, sound becomes simpler. Above ground, the wind had space to speak. Underground, the wind fades and your attention is drawn to smaller noises, the faint scrape of sand underfoot, the soft shift of cloth, the quiet rhythm of breathing. Inhale, exhale, and with each breath, you go deeper. As your eyes adjust, you begin to see the corridor properly. The walls are close enough to feel intimate, but not claustrophobic. They hold the darkness the way velvet holds light, absorbing, softening. The stone may be pale limestone, touched by time, its surface slightly uneven, like a page that has been handled gently for centuries. At intervals, there are carvings, not the kind that shout for attention, but the kind you discover slowly when you allow your gaze to rest. Lines of hieroglyphs, small, deliberate shapes, march across the wall. Figures of people offering flowers, boats, birds, the curve of a reed, the calm geometry of ritual. Even if you do not know what each symbol means, you can feel the intention behind them. Order, continuity, a belief that the universe can be made kinder through careful arrangement. Because modern life often feels like a flood of unarranged things, messages, obligations, worries, too many tabs open in the mind. But here, everything is placed, everything is considered, everything is slowed down, and your nervous system quietly learns from that. The corridor opens into a chamber, not a grand hall, not a throne room, but a room that feels like stillness made visible. The ceiling is low enough to feel protected. The air is cooler. The shadows are soft. And along one wall, you begin to see shapes that look, at first, like seated people. 13 statues. They sit in a row carved from stone, arranged with a calm symmetry that feels almost modern, like a minimal gallery curated for silence. Their bodies are still, their faces composed. They are not frightening, they are patient. It is easy to imagine why this scene stays in the mind, because it looks like waiting. Not the anxious waiting of a crowded airport, but the quiet waiting of a library at night. The statues seem to be holding a place in time, as if they are saying, "We will sit here steadily until someone remembers how to be slow." In some underground complexes, statues served as substitutes, images that could receive offerings, that could act as vessels for presence. They were like anchors for identity. When the world above changes, the stone below keeps a person's outline intact. And you, listening tonight, may feel the strange tenderness of it. A human being made of stone, seated in the dark, not to scare you, but to remain. Now let the camera of your imagination move gently through this chamber. A warm light, perhaps a lamp, perhaps the last reflected glow from the entrance, touches the statue's shoulders and fades into shadow. Dust drifts in slow spirals. The floor is smooth in places, sandy in others. The walls hold faint traces of color, red, ochre, a hint of blue, like watercolor that has decided to stay. You might notice, too, the quiet organization of the space. There are niches, there are alcoves, there are sealed openings. Nothing is chaotic. Even decay feels orderly, as if time has been careful, and the careful feeling becomes a kind of lullaby. As you stand among the statues, you can sense the presence of the people who made this place, craftsmen who learned to read stone the way musicians read notes, who shaped surfaces until they could carry meaning without noise. In a side passage, you may glimpse something gentler than stone, the idea of linen, the memory of wrappings, the trace of a burial arranged with care. And sometimes nearby, a name like Lady Shenet R is remembered through delicate layers, linen folds, painted cartonnage, patterns meant to hold the body as if the body were still worthy of comfort. Cartonnage, when you meet it slowly, is an ancient craft of tenderness, layers of linen or papyrus, pressed and shaped, then painted with symbols of protection. And when modern scans look beneath those layers, they sometimes reveal an intimate precision, how the casing was fitted, almost like a careful corset, not to constrain, but to shelter. It is the kind of discovery that does not shock. It simply makes you pause and think they cared about the details. And when you realize that, something in you relaxes, because care is contagious. In the calm of this underground gallery, you might notice your own breath becoming deeper. Your shoulders might feel heavier in a good way, as if gravity has finally been allowed to do its gentle work. And now, the story invites you forward again. There is another corridor. It does not call you with drama, it simply continues, like a sentence flowing into the next line. And as you follow it, the air becomes slightly cooler still. The stone underfoot feels steadier, more ancient. The darkness feels less like absence and more like a soft blanket. This is the beginning of the journey portion of our night. Where are we? Beneath Saqqara, in quiet architecture, that time forgot on purpose. When are we? At the edge of night, and also at the edge of a far older time, over 4,000 years ago, when these corridors were new and the craftsman's hands still carried dust from the quarry. Why are we here? Not to prove a theory, not to win an argument, but to let the ancient world show you how slow things can be and still be meaningful. How will we move forward? The way water moves when it rises in a stone channel. Steady, patient, almost silent. And so as you step deeper, hold the earlier question softly in your mind. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water? Or a gentle flow in the dark? Because in the next part of our story, we will begin to follow that sound. The quiet sound of water doing what it does best, taking the weight of the world, one calm inch at a time. The deeper you go, the quieter the world becomes. Above, the desert is still breathing, still stretching beneath the sky. But down here, beneath Saqqara's sand, the air feels held, like a secret kept gently in a closed palm. Your steps slow, not because you must, but because the space invites you to. If you'd like, let your breathing follow the corridor. Inhale, as if you are drawing in cool shade. Exhale, as if you are setting down a small weight. The passage narrows and then opens again, the way a calm song moves between notes. The limestone walls are close enough to feel protective, and the darkness is soft, not sharp. It does not jump at you. It simply waits, patient and kind. Somewhere ahead, a faint glow appears, warm and low, like lamplight in a sleeping house. In that glow, the floor becomes clearer and you notice small details, a shallow groove in the stone, a line that seems too straight to be accidental, a place where the ancient builders guided movement with quiet precision. It is easy to forget in the modern world how skilled ancient hands were. They did not have bright screens to guide them. And they did not have machines that beeped and blinked. They had patience, geometry, and a deep familiarity with materials, how stone behaves, how wood bends, how rope holds, how water can be persuaded to move. And water, even here, feels like the hidden companion. Not visible yet, perhaps, but present in the imagination, like the Nile itself, far away but constant, a river that has always known how to keep time. As you continue, the corridor turns. The air changes slightly as if another chamber is near. And when you arrive, you find a space that feels simpler than the statue gallery, less like a museum, more like a private room where silence has been carefully arranged. There is a wall with carved text, not enough to overwhelm you, just enough to remind you that someone wanted to be known. Names in ancient Egypt were not casual. And they were not just labels. A name, Ren, was a kind of thread. To speak it, to carve it, to preserve it, was to keep a person present in the world, even after the body had gone still. You do not need to pronounce the name perfectly tonight. You only need to feel what it meant. I was here. I mattered. Remember me gently. In this chamber, the story begins to offer you a figure from the past. Not a hero in shining armor, not a villain, not a character meant for drama, just a person, a prince perhaps, royal enough to be given stone and shadow, but not famous enough to be loudly remembered above ground. History sometimes treats people like that. It keeps their outlines but lets their details blur. It gives them a room, a door, a row of symbols. And then time covers everything like sand. And yet, even blurred, the presence remains. You can imagine his life in soft fragments, a childhood in courtyards where sunlight fell through columns. Teachers, speaking gently, tracing signs on tablets, teaching him how to stand, how to listen, how to be seen without rushing. A world where the rhythm of the river shaped the rhythm of the day. Fishing boats gliding at dawn, fields brightening, birds lifting from reeds. You might even imagine, in a quiet corner of his memory, the sound of water poured from a jar, steady, soothing, repeating the same small music. Because in Egypt, water was not only survival, it was beauty, it was ceremony. It was the sound that told you you were safe, because if water flowed, life continued. The builders who made these underground spaces lived with water's patience in their hands. They watched it rise and fall. They guided it into canals and basins. They learned how to lift it with simple tools, like the shaduf, a long pole with a counterweight, a quiet lever that turns effort into ease. A shaduf is not a loud invention. It is almost poetic. A person pulls down gently, the bucket rises and water is carried where it needs to go. Again and again, a steady motion, a calm work, the kind of movement that can lull the mind if you watch it long enough. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the Nile at night. The river is wide and dark, but it is not empty. Moonlight lies across it in trembling ribbons. A fishing boat passes slowly, and the oars dip with a soft splash, one sound, then another, then the gentle pause between. Along the bank, palms stand still, and the reeds make a papery whisper when the breeze brushes them. Water reflects the sky, and that alone can soften the mind. Sometimes it seems as if the night itself is floating there, held on the surface. Stars appear twice, above and below, so the world feels larger than your worries. When you watch that quiet doubling, your thoughts slow down naturally, as if the river is teaching your mind the shape of rest without asking you to understand at all. It was also a road. Heavy stone, like granite, did not travel easily across dry land, but on water, weight becomes more forgiving. Barges can carry what shoulders cannot, sliding blocks northward with steady current and patient wind. Even measuring and building often returned to water's calm logic. Water finds level. It does not argue, it simply settles into balance. Builders could watch a still surface line in channels and basins, using it to guide alignment and foundation, an ancient kind of truth. So when we speak tonight about water and lifting, we are speaking about more than one trick. We are speaking about a relationship, a long friendship between humans, and a force that never hurries, yet changes everything. And perhaps that is why the idea feels comforting for sleep. Because water does not panic. Water does not multitask. Water does one thing at a time: flow, rise, settle. And in doing so, it teaches the body how to soften. If your breathing has been shallow today, let it deepen now. Inhale, slow as a river bend. Exhale, long as a dark current moving home. And if you have ever felt tired but still kept going, still lifting one more thing, still carrying one more responsibility, you may recognize the comfort hidden in that simple mechanism. The world can be balanced, weight can be shared, the heavy can become lighter. Now the corridor draws you onward again. You pass a low doorway, you step into another passage. The stone feels cooler. The ceiling seems to press a little closer, not to trap you, but to hold you. Here the sound changes. It is subtle at first, so subtle you might think it is only your own breath. But then you notice a second rhythm beneath it, a hush that does not come from lungs. A faint, distant whisper, not voices, not footsteps, something smoother, something like the memory of flowing water. You pause, and the pause itself becomes calming, because the mind, when it hears a pattern, begins to settle. It stops scanning for danger. It starts leaning into the repetition. This is why rain helps people sleep, why waves soften anxiety, why a fan's steady hum can feel like a small, safe companion in the dark. And tonight, beneath Saqqara, you are beginning to hear a similar comfort, a soft, hidden flow. Now be gentle with the thought that arrives next. Some researchers and builders, quiet thinkers who study ancient engineering, have wondered about the way heavy stone might have been moved and lifted, not by magic, not by secret rays, not by myths that need to shock, but by simple forces used beautifully. Water can lift, not only by pushing upward, but by making movement smoother, by reducing friction, by floating, by rising in controlled ways when guided through channels and chambers. Imagine a stone block, immense, patient, unhurried. If you place it on dry ground, it grips the earth, it resists, it becomes stubborn weight. But if you place it on a bed that can shift, on wet clay, on lubricated wood, on rollers, on sledges that glide, suddenly the heavy begins to cooperate. And if you allow water to rise beneath something, steadily, evenly, water can become an invisible hand, lifting without jerking, lifting without shouting. This idea, when told softly, becomes less a controversy and more a lullaby of physics, a picture of calm work, a picture of people who understood that strength is not always loud and that power can be quiet. You continue down the passage, following the faint whisper. The walls here feel older, rougher in places, as if the corridor was carved deeper into the earth, closer to bedrock. Your imagined lamp throws a small circle of light, and beyond that circle, darkness waits patiently. If your eyelids are growing heavy, that is welcome. You do not have to keep your eyes open for the story to continue. Let it wash over you like warm water. The passage bends, and then very gently you arrive at a narrow opening in the wall, a small channel, a groove cut into stone, smoothed by time. It could have guided water once, it could have guided air, it could have guided ritual movement. Tonight, it guides your attention. You lean closer and the whisper becomes clearer, not a rush, not a flood, a steady, delicate sound like water rising in a hidden shaft, like a basin filling somewhere out of sight. And in that moment, the story offers you a soft discovery. This underground world was not only a tomb, it was a system, a place where stone, space, and perhaps even water were arranged with intention, so that the boundary between heavy and light, between effort and ease, could be negotiated quietly. You are standing at the edge of something older than explanation. Not a shocking secret, a gentle possibility. And as you listen to that faint sound in the dark, a new question forms, quiet, curious, safe. What if the same calm force that fed the fields of Egypt, also helped lift the stones that shaped its eternal monuments. The whisper you heard a moment ago does not get louder. It stays small, steady, almost polite, like someone pouring water into a bowl in the next room and trying not to wake the house. If your mind wants to lean into that sound, let it. The brain loves gentle patterns, and when it finds one, it begins to loosen its grip on the day. You stand near the narrow groove in the stone, letting the lamp's warm circle of light rest on its edges. The channel looks simple, just a line, a shallow path, carved with intention. But in old places, simple things are often the most important. A groove can be a road for water, a road for air, a road for ritual movement, a road for an idea. Tonight, we follow it like a soft thread. As you move forward, the corridor becomes slightly wider, as if the underground is offering you a breath of space. The limestone under your feet feels cool and dry, and every step is quiet enough to be private. Your shoulders drop again, almost on their own. Where are we now? Still beneath Saqqara, in a hidden world where the sun does not reach, and time moves in slow circles. When are we? In the present, with your headphones on and your body resting. And also in the deep past, when these stones were newly cut, when hands were steady and lamps burned with calm flame. Why are we here? To remember that the ancient world was not only mystery, it was craft, it was patience. It was people solving hard problems with soft persistence. And how will we travel through it? With the same quiet steadiness as water rising in the dark. The corridor ends at a low opening. You duck gently, and the space beyond feels different, rounder somehow, as if the builders shaped it like a vessel. A chamber, not grand, not decorated like a palace, but purposeful. The kind of room you could imagine being part of a system. The whisper grows clearer here. A faint gurgle, then silence, then a smooth continuation, like water finding its level. You don't see a river underground, you don't see a waterfall. You only sense the possibility of water moving where you cannot yet look. And that is how many soft discoveries work. Not a sudden reveal, but a slow change in the air. A difference you feel more than you prove. In the center of the chamber, you notice a stone platform. It is low, broad, and unusually flat. A surface meant to hold weight. You walk around it slowly, letting your lamp skim over the edges. There are small marks, scratches, shallow impressions. Nothing dramatic, just the faint handwriting of use. And near one corner, a narrow gap between stones forms a seam. If you were an engineer, you might call it a joint. If you were a storyteller, you might call it a quiet invitation. Some people who study ancient building methods have wondered about rooms like this, not because they want to argue loudly, but because they notice patterns. And patterns make the mind curious in a gentle way. Imagine for a moment a large stone block resting on that platform, a block too heavy to lift by hand, too stubborn to shift without help. Now imagine the chamber beneath the platform, an unseen space, sealed, connected to channels like the one you followed. If water were guided into that unseen space, slowly, evenly, then the water level would rise. Water does not lift like a muscle. It lifts like a cushion. It rises under everything at once, sharing its strength across the whole surface. A steady rise, a quiet increase of buoyant support. If the stone sat on a raft-like base, or if the platform itself could be floated a fraction upward, then the heavy could become slightly lighter. Not weightless, just eased. Just softened enough to slide, to adjust, to align. And because water rises without jerking, it could lift without shaking. It could lift without drama. It could lift the way your chest rises when you breathe, small movement, steady rhythm, and then calm again. This is not a claim carved in granite. It is a picture, a what-if held carefully like a candle protected from wind. In the ancient world, water systems were common. Basins, canals, dikes, simple gates, and lifts like the Sharduf were part of daily life. A civilization that measures seasons by river floods becomes very skilled at guiding water's patience, and patience is the heart of quiet power. If you have ever watched a bathtub fill, you know the feeling. At first, nothing seems to change. Then you notice the line creeping upward, a simple, steady climb, no hurry, no panic, just a rising that cannot be argued with. If you'd like, let that image become a small relaxation for the body. Picture your thoughts as pebbles at the bottom of a basin. As the water rises, the pebbles do not fight, they simply disappear under a calm surface. One worry, covered. Another worry, covered. Not erased, just softened, held under something gentle. Now imagine that rising in stone, a shaft, a sealed chamber, a platform, a block, a careful team listening, watching, adjusting. You might even imagine the sound, a low, gentle glug, a soft hush, then stillness. And the block, very slightly, becomes easier to move. Not because someone forced it, because water negotiated with gravity. When you're tired, the idea of negotiation feels kinder than force. You don't have to push your way through everything. Sometimes you can change the conditions. Sometimes you can let something else carry part of the load. That is a lesson hidden inside ancient engineering. The strongest solutions are often the calmest. You walk closer to the platform again. Your lamp shows tiny mineral sparkles in the stone, like the pink granite door above ground, but here the color is paler, limestone's quiet cream. Dust floats in the air, slow enough to count. And the whisper of water continues, steady as a lullaby. If you want, take a slow breath here. If you are listening from a place where your day felt heavy, you can borrow this underground steadiness. Let the platform be your bed. Let the sealed chamber be your ribcage. Let the water's slow rise be your breath, filling, pausing, releasing. What do you notice when you imagine that gentle lift? Is it the sound of water climbing in silence, or the feeling of weight being shared? You don't need to answer out loud, just let the question sit beside you, friendly and unhurried, like a companion walking in the dark with a small lamp. And if a thought appears, you can watch it float for a moment, then drift away, leaving the air clearer again. Tonight, we practice that drifting. Slow, warm, and completely safe for you. Inhale like water gathering. Exhale like water settling. Somewhere in the side wall, there is another carved opening, lower, narrower. You kneel, not quickly, just carefully, and look inside. You see darkness and you feel cool air. And for a second, you picture a hidden basin beyond, filled to a line. A level surface in the dark, a perfect calm. Water has that gift. It becomes a mirror when it is still. And a mirror, even underground, makes the mind go quiet. It doubles the world. It turns one chamber into two. You might wonder softly why the builders would want a system like this. Perhaps to help position stones, perhaps to help lower them smoothly into place. Perhaps to help raise them just enough to clear an obstacle, perhaps to reduce friction by wetting surfaces, by turning, dragging into gliding, or perhaps in some places water was used simply because it was the gentlest tool available. A rope can snap, a lever can slip, a man can stumble, but water rises with the same calm every time. It does not get angry, it does not get impatient, it does not boast. And beneath Saqqara, where silence was part of the design, a tool that works in silence feels fitting. You stand again and continue along the chamber's far side. There, carved into the wall, you notice a small symbol, an eye. Not a modern eye, but the stylized shape you might recognize from Egyptian art. Clear line, steady gaze, a symbol of protection and seeing. It reminds you of another gentle fact. Sometimes, the ancient Egyptians placed artificial eyes on the faces of the dead, not to scare, not to shock, but to offer a sense of guidance, so the person could see their way, could be watched over, could remain connected. The thought is strangely tender, as if even in death they wanted to make sure no one traveled alone in the dark. And you, listening tonight, may feel that tenderness mirrored back to you. Here, no one rests alone, not in the tomb, not in the story, not in the quiet room where you are listening right now. If this idea touches something in you, let it be simple. No need to analyze, just let it warm the chest the way a small lamp warms a corner. Now, as you leave the chamber, the sound of water begins to fade again, not because it stops, but because you are moving away from its source. The corridor carries you onward, and the air returns to its earlier stillness. But the picture stays with you. Water rising under stone. Weight easing. Silence holding everything like a soft hand. And as the picture settles, a new, soft discovery approaches, one that will not jolt you awake. It will simply widen the night a little, the way the sky widens when the last light leaves. Because if water could lift stone quietly, then the ancient world may have been filled with gentle machines, quiet systems that worked like breathing. In the next chamber, we will meet another kind of evidence, not a loud proof. Just a modern glance into ancient care, the way layers were shaped, the way bodies were held, the way the past still fits itself together. Softly, even now. As you move away from the chamber, the whisper of water becomes fainter. Like a lullaby drifting down a hallway after someone closes a door. It does not vanish entirely, it simply retreats into the background, becoming part of the underground's quiet atmosphere, like a memory your body can keep even when your mind no longer tries to follow it. The corridor ahead is straighter now, the ceiling is low enough to feel protective, and the walls carry a soft, chalky texture where time has touched them. Your lamp, small, warm, draws a gentle oval of light on the floor. Outside that oval, darkness is waiting, not threatening, just patient. If your eyes are heavy, you can let them rest. You do not need to watch every word. You can listen the way you listen to rain. Half aware, comforted, safe. In ancient places like this, the most powerful feelings are often the smallest ones. The coolness of stone, the hush of air, the slow rhythm of your own breath. Inhale and feel the chest rise without effort. Exhale and feel the shoulders soften downward. Somewhere ahead, the corridor opens into a room that feels different from the earlier chambers, not a gallery, not a platform room. This one feels more personal. The air is a little warmer here, or perhaps it only seems warmer because the space is less severe. There is a faint scent that isn't quite dust and isn't quite stone. Something dry and gentle, like old linen stored in a cedar chest. You step into the chamber and pause, letting the light settle. Along one side, there is a structure, rectangular, low, carefully built. A sarcophagus or a casing, or perhaps simply the remains of a place where someone once lay. But tonight, we do not describe anything harsh. We do not linger on the uncomfortable. We stay with the tenderness, because even a tomb, when approached gently, can feel like a room made for rest. And rest is what you are practicing now. You might notice painted fragments along the wall, or bits of patterned plaster. You might notice the faint suggestion of color, blue like night, ochre like earth, red like sunset. The ancient Egyptians loved color not for loudness but for meaning. Blue for the sky and the sacred waters, green for renewal, gold for the sun's unending cycle, white for purity and calm, a palette for comfort. As you stand there, your mind returns to something we touched earlier, cartonnage. It is a word that sounds technical, but the reality is gentle. Cartonnage was made from layers, linen, papyrus, sometimes other fibers, pressed and shaped like papier-mâché, then dried and painted. It could be molded to the body like a protective casing, light enough to handle, strong enough to hold shape. When you think of layers, you might think of protection, a blanket, a coat, a scarf, something that says you are held. The people who created cartonnage were not only craftsmen, they were caretakers. They wrapped, layered, shaped, and painted, not to frighten anyone, but to offer safe passage, to create a boundary between the harshness of decay and the softness of meaning. It is easy to imagine a workshop near the Nile, far from this underground chamber. A shaded courtyard, bowls of water and paste, strips of linen laid out like ribbons, hands moving with slow certainty. No dramatic music, just quiet work. The sound of cloth being smoothed, the soft brush of pigment. The murmur of prayers spoken low enough to blend into the day. And centuries later, modern technology looks at these layers carefully, respectfully, and sees details the naked eye cannot. A CT scan. It is almost poetic when you think about it. A modern machine using invisible light to look through ancient layers like moonlight passing through thin fabric. And what it reveals is often not horror. It reveals care. It shows how the layers were shaped to fit closely, almost like a tailored garment. How the casing hugged the contours of the body, not to trap, but to hold in place, like a gentle corset of linen and time. If you imagine it slowly, the discovery becomes soothing instead of startling. Someone made this to fit. Someone took time. Someone cared enough to be precise. And in the quiet of your listening space, precision can feel like love, because love is often precision, noticing what someone needs, adjusting gently, making sure things sit comfortably. Now step closer to the sarcophagus-like structure in your mind and let the lamp reveal something else. On a face, painted perhaps or sculpted, there may be eyes. Not real eyes, not living eyes, but eyes that look outward with calm symbolism. Sometimes those eyes were even made with materials that caught light softly, glass, stone, or painted shine. The purpose was not to create fear, it was to create guidance. To give the person a way to see the path. To give the living a way to imagine connection. To remind everyone that the journey into the unseen did not have to be lonely. If you let that land gently, you may notice something in your own chest soften. Because modern life can feel lonely in a quiet way. Not the dramatic loneliness of abandonment, but the everyday loneliness of carrying too much inside your own head. The loneliness of being fine while still feeling tired. The loneliness of being surrounded by people and still feeling like no one truly sees you. So the ancient gesture, the idea of eyes placed as protection, can feel strangely comforting. As if someone across 4,000 years is saying, I understand the dark, I understand the need for a steady gaze, I understand the comfort of being watched over gently. Here, no one rests alone. And if this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. Just a small word, like a pebble placed beside a lamp. I'm here. I made it. I'm breathing. Now the chamber offers another detail. Along the wall, near where an offering table might once have stood, You notice carved lists again: bread, beer, incense, flowers, the eternal menu. And you might smile softly, not because it's funny, but because it's human. When we care about someone, we think about their comfort. We think, did you eat? We think, are you warm? We think, do you have what you need? The ancient Egyptians wrote those questions into stone. And you, listening tonight, are also being invited into comfort. Did you drink water today? Did you rest your eyes? Did you give yourself one small kindness? You don't need to answer. Just let the questions be soft, like a blanket settling. Now the story's gentle thread returns again to water, because water is not only what lifts stone, it is also what softens fiber. It is what makes paste. It is what turns stiff linen into workable layers. It is what allows clay to be shaped. It is what makes a hard thing become pliable. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water or a gentle flow in the dark? In this chamber, the answer feels closer. Not because we have proven anything, but because we have felt the pattern. Water behind the scenes, water shaping systems, water doing quiet work. And now the corridor invites you onward once more, toward the deeper reflection, the part of the story where we stop asking how they did it and start asking what it means for you here tonight. As you leave the chamber, you glance back once, just once. The room does not chase you. It does not cling. It stays behind, still and respectful, like a museum after closing. And you carry with you a soft discovery. The past was not always loud. It was layered. It was careful. It was built from small acts repeated patiently. A strip of linen smoothed down, a symbol painted steady, a name carved so it would not disappear, a basin filled so it could lift something heavy without noise. This is how large things happen, not in explosions, in layers, and perhaps in your life too, peace returns in layers, not all at once, not in a sudden switch, but in small, repeated acts of care. A breath, a slower step, a softened thought, a story listened to in the dark. In the next part, we will come to the heart of the reflection, the ancient idea of Ren, the power of being named, the gentle way memory holds a person in the world. And we will let that idea become something you can rest inside, like a quiet room with warm light. The corridor feels different now. Not because the stone has changed, but because you have changed as you walk. Your breath is slower. Your thoughts have softened. Even the darkness seems kinder, as if it has learned the shape of your listening. Behind you, the chamber of layers and painted symbols has returned to stillness. Ahead, the passage continues with its quiet certainty, guiding you deeper, not into danger, but into meaning. If you'd like, take one gentle breath here. Inhale, like a lamp being lit. Exhale, like a lamp settling into steady glow. Down here, there is no need to prove anything, no need to argue, no need to carry the day's sharp edges. This is a place for softer truths, the kind that don't need to win, only to be felt. The walls are lined with carvings again, not crowded, not loud, just lines that repeat with calm discipline, symbols of reeds, birds, water, circles, and small human figures offering flowers. The ancient script looks like a river seen from above, curving, measured, quietly alive. And among these lines, you sense something that matters more than any engineering theory, more than any mechanism of water and stone: a name. In ancient Egypt, the name was not simply what you were called. It was part of what you were. The Ren, the spoken and remembered name, was a thread that could keep a person connected to the world. To be remembered was to remain. To have your name spoken was to be touched by life again. softly across time. You might pause beside a wall and imagine the moment this name was carved. A craftsman kneeling, lamplight warming his hands, a chisel held steady, each tap gentle, not rushed. A careful line, then another. A pause to check the spacing, a breath, then the next mark. It is a small scene, but it holds something vast, the desire to not disappear. And in that desire, the ancient world and the modern world meet. Because you too are living inside time. You have days that pass too quickly, weeks that blur, seasons that arrive before you feel ready. You have memories you want to keep and worries you wish you could set down. You have moments when you wonder if anyone truly sees the quiet work you do, the way you hold your life together, the way you show up, the way you keep going. So when we meet the idea of Ren, it touches something tender. It reminds us that being seen is a kind of nourishment. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that lets the nervous system unclench. Here, beneath Saqqara, the carvings were not only decoration, they were a promise. Say my name, remember my offerings. Let my presence remain gentle in your world. Sometimes the names of people were repeated in multiple places, on false doors, on offering tables, on statues, like an echo made permanent. It was not vanity, it was reassurance. A way of saying, even when the body is still, let the thread stay unbroken. If you are listening tonight and you feel tired in a way that words don't always describe, let this be a comfort. You are allowed to want to be remembered kindly. You are allowed to want your effort to matter. You are allowed to want a soft witness to your life. And perhaps that witness can begin with you. If this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. Just a small note, like a name written in the margin of the night. I'm here. I'm safe. I made it through today. Now the corridor opens into a room that feels quieter than the others, a chamber without spectacle. The ceiling is low, the corners soft, the air is cool and still, and the lamp's glow seems to move slowly as if the light itself is sleepy. On one wall there is a carved false door, smaller than the pink granite one above ground, but shaped with the same intention, a doorway for the spirit, a threshold for memory. You stand before it and let the idea settle, a door that does not open with hands, but with attention, a door that opens when someone remembers. This is the soft twist of tonight's journey, not a shocking reveal, not a hidden treasure chest. Just the discovery that the deepest mechanism in these places might not be hydraulic at all. It might be human. The mechanism of care, the mechanism of remembering, the mechanism of saying quietly, you matter. In a world that often feels fast and indifferent, this is radical tenderness, and it is also strangely practical, because memory shapes behavior. Memory shapes identity. Memory shapes the way we carry ourselves through the day. The ancient builders understood that a person does not live only in breath and muscle. A person lives in stories, in names, in the small ways others hold them. So they built architecture for that. They built stone sentences. They built quiet rooms for remembrance. And now softly, let the story name its own questions. The way a calm mind arranges a room before sleep. Who are we with tonight? A person whose footsteps have faded, but whose Ren was carved in stone. Where are we meeting them? In a cool chamber beneath Saqqara, where lamps once glowed and sand above kept the world quiet. When are we hearing them? In the hour when your day is ending, and also in the long night of the ancient past, when the desert wrapped the tomb like a blanket? Why did they build this doorway? Not to frighten the living, but to keep connection gentle, so remembrance could pass through like a breeze. How did they do it? With craft, patience, and a belief that careful repetition can carry love across time. Let those questions drift through you without needing answers. They are not a test. They are a lullaby. You might notice something else on the wall near the false door. An offering list, carved like a quiet shopping note for eternity. Bread, beer, cool water, incense, flowers, a promise of enough. The items are ordinary, and that is the point. The ancient world, at its most tender, was not obsessed with spectacle. It was obsessed with comfort. The comfort of food, the comfort of shade, the comfort of being welcomed. If you've been living with too much urgency, let this ordinary list soothe you. Imagine a loaf of bread warm from an oven, the smell simple and grounding. Imagine a jar of water cooled in the evening air. Imagine a flower placed without hurry on a stone ledge, an offering that is mostly a gesture, mostly a whisper. Now for a moment, bring the idea of Ren into your own body. Without speaking out loud, you can say your own name in your mind once, slowly, kindly, not as a label, as a gentle recognition, and notice what happens. Sometimes a name can feel like a small anchor. It gathers scattered thoughts. It reminds the nervous system, this is me, here, safe in this moment. If your mind wanders, you can return to that anchor. Name, breath, stillness. Like water returning to level. Now, the corridor of your imagination seems to soften further, as if the tomb is listening too. The lamp's glow warms the carved lines, and dust motes drift as slowly as snow. The silence is thick in the best way, like a quilt. And as you stand here, your mind may drift to your own life. Someone who once said your name with love. Someone you have not thought about in a long time. A teacher, a friend, a grandparent, a voice that used to call you in for dinner, a laugh that still echoes when the house is quiet. If a memory arrives, let it come gently. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to hold it tight. Just let it sit beside you, warm and soft, like a cat curling up in a patch of lamplight. And if no memory arrives, that is okay too. The story can be the memory for now. The story can be the gentle voice that says your name without demanding anything from you. Here, no one rests alone. Now return for a moment to the earlier question, our soft, interactive thread. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water or a gentle flow in the dark? Notice how your answer may have shifted. At the beginning, it might have been curiosity about a technique. Now it may feel like a metaphor, because water in this story is not only water. It is the steady rise of calm in your chest. It is the gentle filling of a quiet space inside you. It is the way rest returns, not all at once, but inch by inch. And perhaps this is what the ancient world offers the modern listener. A reminder that the heavy can be lifted without violence, that the day's weight can be eased through steady conditions, through breath, through stillness, through being named kindly. The chamber holds its silence. The carved false door waits without impatience. You stand there and imagine the desert above, the sand like a vast blanket. You imagine the night sky expanding, the stars appearing one by one, as if someone is turning on small lamps across the universe. Time here feels less like an enemy and more like a caretaker. The sun sets, the dark arrives, not to threaten, but to give the world permission to rest. If those ancient rooms can sleep for thousands of years and remain calm, you can sleep for one night. You can let your thoughts loosen. You can let your body be heavy. You can let the story hold the thread for you, and your breathing can stay slow. And when you are ready, we will begin to walk back, slowly, through the corridors, carrying with us the soft lantern of Ren. The truth that a name, spoken gently, can keep warmth alive in the dark. You begin to walk back, not because the story is ending, but because the night is deepening. The chamber of the false door remains behind you, holding its quiet the way a closed book holds a page. The lamp in your hand, or in your imagination, casts a warm circle that moves slowly along the floor. Your footsteps are soft. Your breathing is softer. Inhale and feel how the air cools as it enters. Exhale and feel how the body settles as it leaves. As you return along the corridor, you notice something you did not notice before, how the whole underground seems designed for a pace that is almost slower than thought. No sharp turns, no sudden openings. Everything feels like a long, steady sentence. And in that steady sentence, the earlier idea returns again. Water, quietly working. Not as a dramatic theory, not as a loud argument, as a gentle machine. In the modern world, machines often feel noisy, engines, alarms, buzzing notifications, impatient beeps that pull attention. But long before machines had screens, there were machines made from balance, from gravity, from simple shapes and patient repetition. The shaduf, the counterweight, the lever, the basin, the gate. And in the background of all of them, water, steady, predictable, calm. Imagine the Nile at dawn before the heat arrives. Mist sits low over the surface, so the river looks like it's wearing a thin veil. On the bank, a farmer stands barefoot in cool mud. The air is quiet enough that you can hear the frogs, the distant wing beats of birds, the small splash of a bucket being lowered. He uses a shaduf, a long pole balanced on a frame, a bucket at one end, a weight at the other. He pulls down with a gentle effort, and the bucket sinks into the river. Then he eases his hands upward, and the counterweight lifts the bucket for him, as if the tool itself is breathing. Down and up, down and up. If you watch that motion for long enough, it becomes hypnotic. It has the same soft rhythm as rocking a child or swaying in a hammock or watching waves repeat on a shore. It is work, yes, but it is also a kind of meditation, a steady exchange between human patience and the river's endless willingness. Now let that rhythm travel with you into the underground, down and up, down and up. You can almost feel it in your chest as you breathe. This is the kind of calm power ancient Egypt understood intimately, not power that bursts, power that persists. The corridor opens into a small junction. One path leads toward the statue gallery you visited earlier. Another slopes upward toward the entrance. And for a moment, you pause as if deciding which memory to carry next. The lamp flickers softly and the darkness remains kind. If your mind is drifting, let it drift. You do not have to hold every image. You can let the story pass through you like water through reeds, leaving behind only the feeling of calm. Still, one more picture arrives, gentle and clear. A stone block on a sledge. Not an enormous mythic scene, not thousands of people shouting. Just a group of workers moving in coordination, quietly, with the kind of focus that does not need drama. They pull ropes in a steady rhythm. Someone pours water onto the sand in front of the sledge, darkening it, smoothing it, and the sledge slides more easily. As if the earth has learned to cooperate, water again doing a small mercy. This image is old enough to feel like it belongs to the dream of history, and yet practical enough to feel like it could be true. Not because we need certainty tonight, but because the world often works through small mercies. A little water, a little less friction, a little more ease, and isn't that what you want too at the end of a long day? Not perfection, not victory, just a little more ease. You continue along the corridor, and the lamp's circle of light moves across carved symbols, waves, reeds, birds, like the ancient builders were quietly agreeing with you. Water, life, rhythm, return. Then very softly, the story offers its climax, though it does not feel like a peak. It feels like a widening. A thought that opens the chest the way a window opens to cool night air. What if the greatest achievement of these places is not that stones were lifted, but that people learned how to make heaviness feel gentle? Because heaviness is not only stone, heaviness is also time, heaviness is also grief, heaviness is also responsibility, heaviness is also the quiet pressure of being needed by everyone. And yet the ancient world left behind a language of easing. They made doors that did not need hands. They made offerings that did not spoil. They made names that could travel across centuries. They made systems, water, balance, repetition that turned strain into rhythm. When you see it like this, the tomb is not only a resting place for the dead, it is a lesson for the living. A lesson that says, you can build a life that does not grind you down. You can build rituals, you can build quiet systems, you can build gentle levers, habits, breaths, stories that help you lift what feels too heavy to lift alone. And if that sounds like too much to do, remember, tonight is not for building. Tonight is for resting. So let the thought remain a soft lantern, nothing more. You reach the statue gallery again. 13 figures seated in a row, still waiting. The lamp's glow touches their faces and retreats. Dust drifts. Silence holds. They seem even calmer now than before, as if your own relaxation has changed the way you see them. They are not guarding you, they are accompanying you. They are simply present, stone witnesses to slow time. You pass them with a nod that is more feeling than gesture. And then, as the corridor begins to rise, you feel the faintest change in air pressure, the faintest hint that the desert above is near. The air grows slightly warmer, slightly drier. Somewhere very far away, you imagine wind again, moving over sand like a hand smoothing a blanket. Before you emerge, the story gives you one more gentle scene, one meant for the American listener whose life is full, whose schedule is tight, whose mind may still be carrying the glow of screens. Imagine you are back above ground, but not in the harsh noon. It is night now, the desert is cool, the sky is enormous. You sit on a low stone and the sand around you looks almost blue under the stars. There is no traffic, no email, no news, just the quiet and the sense that the planet itself is breathing. Somewhere in the distance, the Nile is flowing, unseen but faithful. And in that wide night, you realize something simple. You do not need to be as loud as your worries. You do not need to fight your mind into silence. You can let calm rise, steadily, like water. Inhale, a little higher. Exhale, a little softer. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. And if you're too sleepy to type, that's okay too. Your listening is enough. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Now, one last time, return to the interactive question, only as a whisper, only as a gentle invitation. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water, or a gentle flow in the dark? Perhaps you can hear it now, not as a theory, as a lullaby, a slow rise, a soft hush, a weight becoming easier. And as you take the next steps upward, toward the pink granite threshold and the open sky, the story begins to prepare you for its final descent, not into history, but into sleep. Because the goal was never to keep you awake. The goal was to give your mind something steady to hold while your body lets go. And you are already letting go. One breath at a time, one soft wave at a time, one gentle story at a time. Before you reach the stairway, the corridor offers a side opening, just a narrow passage that feels like a room beside the room. You do not have to enter it, but you glance in and the story gives you a cooling image to carry. A road in Sinai, not the Sinai of glare, but a rare avenue of trees, green shade stretched like a ribbon between sand and sky. Leaves move gently, making a whisper different from desert wind. When you walk beneath that shade, your shoulders drop, your eyes soften, even your thoughts slow down. Shade does that. It gives the mind permission. It is easy to imagine travelers long ago pausing there, sip of water, quiet conversation, the simple comfort of not being under the sun for a while. The ancient world was not only monuments, it was also pauses, it was also small mercies, a palm tree, a cool jar, a shadow arriving right on time. And then you see how those mercies connect to the bigger work. Water finds shade, and shade invites water. Canals lined with reeds, basins tucked into courtyards, jars wrapped in damp cloth to cool. These are also systems, gentle ones, a rise that is steady, a pressure that is even, a movement that does not startle. Even measuring can be quiet. Imagine a shallow channel filled with water. The surface still as glass. Builders glance at that level line and know where true is. No arguments. The water tells the truth by becoming calm. And the truth it tells is soft, balance. As you return to the main corridor, the air feels a touch lighter. Somewhere above, the pink granite threshold is waiting, rose-colored, flecked with tiny sparkles like stars caught in stone. A door that does not need to open. A door that only needs to remain. And you are safe here, now. The corridor rises, not sharply, not in a way that makes you feel rushed, but in a slow incline, like a long, gentle hill. Your steps remain soft. The lamp's glow keeps you company, a small circle of warmth sliding across pale stone. You can feel the world above, even before you see it. A faint loosening in the air. A whisper of openness. A subtle change in temperature, less cool, more neutral, like the underground is releasing you back to the night. If your body feels heavy, let it. This story was built to carry you, not to make you work. Inhale, like you were rising out of deep water. Exhale, like you were floating on the surface. Soon you reach the opening. And when you step out, the desert night receives you the way a calm lake receives moonlight, silently, tenderly. The sky is enormous now. Stars scatter across it in patient patterns, not crowded, not blinking, just present, steady, like countless small candles lit far away. The air is cool, and the sand is no longer hot beneath your feet. It feels like velvet, fine and soft, holding the day's warmth deep down and offering the surface to the night. Somewhere, the wind moves, not a storm wind, not a shouting wind. A gentle wind that passes across dunes the way a hand passes across hair, smoothing, comforting, repeating the same kind gesture until the whole landscape looks tucked in. You turn your head, and there it is again, the pink granite door. In the moonlight, it seems even more tender than before, less rose, more mauve, like the last blush of sunset preserved inside stone. Tiny mineral flecks catch faint starlight and glimmer softly, as if the granite is holding on to little pieces of the sky. This is one of the quiet pleasures of returning, seeing the same thing twice, but with a different nervous system. Earlier, you stood before the door with curiosity. Now you stand before it with calm, and the door feels like a lullaby made of stone. You step closer, and in your imagination, you place your palm against the granite. It is cool. Not cold in a harsh way, cool in a steady way like the underside of a shaded boulder. The smoothness is gentle. The mass beneath your hand feels unimaginably patient, as if the stone has been practicing stillness for thousands of years, a door that does not open, a threshold that does not demand, and the soft twist of tonight's story settles into a simpler truth. The past does not need to be conquered. It can be visited like a quiet garden. You don't have to pry anything open. You don't have to force conclusions. You can simply stand near what is old and let its steadiness calm you. If you are listening from a life filled with deadlines, emails, constant small decisions, let this be the contrast. A stone that has no deadlines, a stone that has no notifications, a stone that sits under the sky and remains exactly itself. There is a strange comfort in that. Now, allow the story to weave together its threads one more time, water, stone, name, care, into a gentle expansion. Imagine the ancient builders in the cool hours of evening. The day's heat has softened. The work crews move quietly. Someone carries a jar of water, wrapped in damp cloth to keep it cool. Someone pours water onto a channel, listening for the steady rise in a basin. Someone checks a level line by watching the still surface settle. Someone traces a name on stone, careful and slow. No one is yelling. The power is in coordination. The power is in rhythm. The power is in patience. This is the kind of world your nervous system longs for at night, a world where effort is measured and where heaviness is handled gently. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water, or a gentle flow in the dark? Here, above ground, the answer might not be sound at all. It might be sensation. The sensation of water rising in your chest as breath, filling, easing, lifting the day a little higher so it can float instead of sink. If you'd like, try a small breathing pattern with me, no counting, no pressure. Inhale, slow and steady as if something inside you is being supported. Exhale, long and soft as if your thoughts are being carried away. Again, inhale like the Nile rising in its season. Exhale like the river settling back into its bed. You don't have to do it perfectly. The effort is the opposite of the point. The point is to let the body remember what it already knows, how to release. The granite door stands in front of you, and for a moment you imagine it not as an entrance to a tomb, but as a symbol of your own boundary tonight, a threshold between the day and sleep. On one side, your tasks, your worries, your unfinished lists. On the other side, rest, darkness, renewal, quiet. You do not need to push the door open. You only need to recognize that you are allowed to step away from the day. You are allowed to leave the day on the outside. Now the story moves into its final long wave, the resolution that is less an ending and more a gentle descent into sleep. But before that descent begins, it offers one more soft reflection, the kind that feels like a warm hand on the shoulder. The ancient Egyptians believed that the name Ren should continue. That remembrance keeps a thread alive. Tonight, you can practice a version of that in a way that is simple and human. Remember one small thing you did today that was kind. It can be tiny. A glass of water you drank, a message you answered gently, a task you completed, a moment you paused instead of snapping. Hold that moment for only a second, then let it go, not because it doesn't matter, but because you don't have to cling. The act of remembering is enough. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below when you wake up, or tomorrow, or whenever it feels natural. And if you're too sleepy, that's perfect too. Sleep is the point. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. Now, imagine the desert around you as a giant blanket. The dunes rise and fall like the slow chest of the earth breathing. The sand is cool and soft. Somewhere in the distance, a fox might move quietly, leaving delicate footprints that will be erased by morning wind. Somewhere else, a palm tree stands still, its fronds barely moving. The world is not busy, the world is resting, and you, listener, are allowed to rest with it. The pink granite door remains steady and calm, like a guardian of sleep. You do not need to understand everything behind it. You do not need to remember every fact. You only need to let the story continue to lower its voice, to slow its steps, to soften its light until you drift. The night has fully arrived now. Not the harsh kind of night that startles, but the deep, settled night that feels like a room after the lights have been turned low. The stars are steady. The air is cool. The sand underfoot is soft enough to imagine sinking into, the way a mattress receives your weight and then stops asking anything from you. The pink granite door stands nearby, quiet and unchanged, and somehow it feels less like a barrier and more like a companion, something that knows how to be still without effort. If your thoughts are still wandering, that is normal. The mind is like a small animal at night. It sniffs around, it checks corners, it tries to make sure everything is safe. Tonight, you can let it relax. You can let the story become the gentle fence around your attention, keeping you held without being trapped. Inhale and feel the body soften. Exhale and feel the mind loosen its grip. Now the story begins to slow even further. It stops introducing new places. It stops adding new discoveries. Instead, it returns to the same few calming images over and over, like waves returning to shore. The desert, the door, the river, the breath. Imagine the desert stretching out in all directions, the dunes like slow, sleeping creatures. Their curves are gentle, rounded, soft enough to look like they were shaped by a hand that only knows kindness. The wind moves over them, smoothing, 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 never getting tired of the repetition. The sound is barely there. A hush, a soft brushing. And in that hush, your nervous system begins to understand something simple. Nothing needs you right now. No one is demanding an answer. No one is waiting for a decision. You are allowed to stop performing. You are allowed to stop anticipating. You are allowed to rest. If you are listening in a bed, let the bed become the desert's softness. If you are listening on a couch or a chair, let the cushions become a dune that supports you. If you are listening while traveling, let the seat beneath you become the steady stone of the granite door. Firm, cool, reliable. Now bring the river into your imagination. You do not have to see it clearly, you only need to sense it. The Nile, far away in the dark, moving slowly under moonlight. A wide ribbon of water reflecting the sky. Not rushing, not struggling, just flowing the way it has always flowed, carrying life without needing applause. If you listen closely in your mind, you can almost hear it. Not loud waves, but a low, steady movement like a long exhale, and as you picture that river, your own breath begins to match it. Inhale, like a quiet tide coming in. Exhale, like a quiet tide going out. The story returns, very gently, to the question that has followed us all night, not to demand an answer, but to create a soft rhythm. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water or hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water, or a gentle flow in the dark? You might notice that you no longer need to picture anything sharply. You can let it become vague, blurred, dreamy. A rise, a hush, a gentle lift, that is enough. Now imagine the ancient work again, but simplified. Not crowds, not noise, just a small group of people in lamplight, patient and calm, a basin filling slowly, water rising, a stone block becoming easier to guide. The movement is steady and smooth, like the slow slide of a drawer closing without a slam. And in that quiet movement there is a lesson for the modern listener. You do not have to slam your life into place. You can guide it, you can ease it, you can let things settle. Now the story turns toward its final reflection. It returns to Ren, the name, not as a concept to analyze, but as a feeling. Imagine the ancient person behind the granite door, someone whose name was carved carefully so it would not vanish. Someone who wanted to be held in memory, gently, not loudly. Now imagine your own name, spoken softly, kindly, without urgency. You can say it in your mind once, just once, and then let it dissolve into the night like a warm breath on cool air. Because tonight, the goal is not to hold identity tightly. The goal is to let the body sleep. And sleep is a kind of trust. Trust that you can let go for a while and still return. The desert knows this trust. Every day it heats, every night it cools, and the cycle continues without fear. The river knows this trust. It rises, it falls, it returns, and it does not panic about the rhythm. And your body knows this trust too, even if your mind forgets sometimes. Your body has slept thousands of times. It remembers how. Now the story begins to repeat certain calming phrases, softly, spaced out, like slow footsteps. The pink granite door is still there, cool and steady. The sand is like a blanket, smooth and quiet. The river is like a breath, long and gentle. The stars are like small lamps, watching without judgment. If you find yourself drifting, that is perfect. If you miss a sentence, that is perfect. You do not have to keep up. You are allowed to fall behind into sleep. Now imagine walking away from the door, not with urgency, but with a slow backward step, as if you are leaving a quiet friend. You do not turn your back abruptly. You simply let the distance grow. The door remains, it always will. And as it becomes smaller in the distance, your mind begins to release even the idea of the tomb, even the idea of history. All that remains is the feeling, stillness, warmth, gentle time. The wind brushes the sand again. The dunes look smoother. The night air cools your cheeks in the imagination. Your shoulders are heavy. Your hands are heavy. Your eyelids may be heavy. Let them be heavy. Let gravity be kind. Inhale and let the breath arrive without effort. Exhale and let the breath leave without effort. No tasks, no arguments, no need to remember facts, just the slow, steady drift. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. And if this story brought you calm, don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys. Now the last wave begins, soft, long, almost whispered. The desert is a blanket, the river is a breath, the granite door is cool and steady, the stars are quiet lamps. And you are safe. The night is very quiet now, so quiet that even imagination feels like it is moving more slowly, like a feather drifting down in still air, taking its time, not needing to land quickly. If you are still awake, that's okay. If you are half asleep, that's perfect. If you are drifting in and out, that is exactly what this story was made for. The desert remains around you, calm and open, and the sky holds its stars the way a soft ceiling holds warm light. The pink granite door is still somewhere nearby, but it no longer asks for your attention. It doesn't need you to look at it. It doesn't need you to understand it. It simply exists. Steady, patient, quiet. And now the story begins to loosen its own shape. It stops being a line you follow and becomes more like water itself. Something that can spread out, settle, and then disappear gently into the ground. Inhale, slowly, as if you are drawing in cool night air. Exhale, softly, as if you are releasing the last tension of the day. The images return, but they return like dreams do, blurred at the edges, warm, not demanding. A corridor under Saqqara, a chamber where dust floated like underwater light. A row of seated statues waiting in silence. A carved false door, not for hands but for memory. A basin filling somewhere unseen. Water rising in the dark. A stone block easing, gliding, settling. You don't have to see any of it clearly. You can let it all become gentle texture, like the sound of rain you don't need to count, like waves you don't need to measure, like a fan's hum you don't need to analyze. If thoughts come about tomorrow, about unfinished tasks, about something you said or didn't say, let them arrive without fighting them, and then let them float away. Imagine each thought as a small leaf. The leaf lands on the Nile, the river accepts it, the river carries it, and the leaf drifts out of sight. One thought, drifting. Another thought, drifting. You don't have to push them away. You don't have to solve them. The river does not solve the leaf. It simply carries it. Inhale, like water gathering. Exhale, like water, moving on. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water or a gentle flow in the dark? Now you can let even that question fade. You don't need an answer. The question has done its job. It has given your mind a soft place to rest, a steady rhythm to lean into. And now the rhythm can continue without words. Rise, settle, rise, settle, like breath, like tide, like the desert cooling after sunset. The ancient Egyptians understood cycles. They watched the sun rise and set. They watched the Nile flood and return. They watched seasons rotate like slow wheels. And one of the gentlest lessons hidden in those cycles is this. The sun setting is not a failure. It is not an ending. It is simply a shift of care. Daytime takes its turn holding the world, then nighttime takes its turn holding the world. And now it's nighttime's turn to hold you. You do not have to hold yourself up anymore. If your jaw is tight, let it soften. If your brow is tense, let it smooth. If your shoulders are lifted, let them sink. Let gravity be kind. The sand becomes a blanket again in your mind, a vast, soft cover, stretching over everything, over corridors, over chambers, over statues, over doors, over names carved into stone. The desert does not erase them harshly, it covers them gently, like tucking in a sleeping child. The wind passes over the dunes in slow strokes, smoothing and smoothing, and each stroke feels like a quiet reassurance. You are safe. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to sleep. The pink granite door stands somewhere under the stars, cool and steady, guarding nothing that can hurt you, only guarding stillness. And in the far distance, the Nile moves like a breath, long and quiet, reflecting the sky without needing to explain itself. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. Tomorrow, a new story will be waiting. Until then, or another day, whenever it feels natural. And don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys. Now I'll speak even more softly in the story's final descent. Nothing needs to be done, nothing needs to be solved. You can let your mind loosen, you can let your body be heavy. Inhale, exhale. The desert is a blanket, the river is a breath, the granite door is cool and steady, the stars are quiet lamps. And as your eyes close, if they haven't already, imagine the false door opening not with hands, not with force, but with gentleness. A doorway into rest, a threshold into sleep. And when you cross it, you do not have to take anything with you. You can leave the day behind, you can leave the worry behind. You can leave even the story behind, because sleep will take over now, quietly, naturally, the way water rises in the dark. The story is very quiet now. It has walked you through corridors and chambers, through stone and shadow, and it has brought you back to the open desert night, where nothing needs to happen and nothing is waiting for you. If you are still awake, you can simply rest here with the sky. If you are half asleep, you can let the words blur. And if you are already drifting, then the story will keep its voice low, like a bedside lamp that does not want to wake you. The air feels cool in the imagination. The sand feels soft. The stars feel steady. Somewhere, the pink granite door is still standing, mauve and rose in the moonlight, flecked with tiny sparkles that catch the faint glow of night. It does not move. It does not ask questions. It does not demand that you be clever. It is only a symbol of something simple, a boundary, a threshold, a place where you can let the day stop. Inhale and let the breath arrive like calm water. Exhale and let the breath leave like calm water. You don't have to breathe deeply. You don't have to breathe perfectly. Your body already knows what to do when it feels safe. And tonight, you are safe. Now imagine the desert as a vast blanket again, not a blanket that presses down, but a blanket that covers and protects. It smooths the world, it mutes sharp edges, it turns every shape into something gentle. The dunes rise and fall like a slow chest. The wind brushes them in long, patient strokes, smoothing, 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 until the whole landscape looks tucked in for sleep. And somewhere beneath that blanket, the underground rooms remain, quietly resting. The statue gallery sits in darkness, calm and still. The carved false doors wait not to be opened by hands, but to be remembered kindly. The offering lists remain like small promises: bread, beer, water, flowers, enough, enough, enough. And the old channels and basins, whether they carried water for engineering or only for ritual, remain as a reminder that the ancient world loved steady systems. Systems that didn't shout, systems that didn't rush. Systems that worked like breathing. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water or a gentle flow in the dark? You can answer in any way you like, or you can let the question fade because you don't need it anymore. It can dissolve into the rhythm behind everything. Rise, settle, like breath, like tide, like the Nile moving under moonlight. If your mind tries to return to the day, emails, conversations, unfinished tasks, you can let those thoughts be there without following them. Imagine each thought as a small boat on the river. You see it, you recognize it, and then you let the current carry it away. One boat drifting, another boat drifting. No need to chase, no need to pull them back. The river carries what it carries. Inhale, slow as a river bend. Exhale, long as a river's dark path. Now the story offers you a softer way to hold yourself, not with tension, not with effort, with kindness. If your shoulders feel tight, let them sink. If your hands feel clenched, let the fingers loosen. If your tongue is pressed to the roof of your mouth, let it rest. If your eyes are open, let the lids become heavier. And because the mind sometimes likes a small ritual, you can give it one now. Imagine placing a tiny offering on the stone table of the night. Not bread or beer, unless you want to picture them. A softer offering, a single exhale, a gentle letting go. You can imagine it like this. You set your worries down the way someone sets a folded cloth on a shelf, carefully, without throwing it, without rushing. The cloth stays there. It will still be there tomorrow if you need it, but you do not need to hold it tonight. If a specific worry returns again and again, you can greet it quietly. Not now, and then let it pass. The way wind passes over sand without leaving a permanent mark. The wind smooths. The sand accepts and the night continues. Now let your attention travel to the places in your body that often carry the day. The forehead, soft. The space between the eyebrows, smooth. The cheeks, loose. The jaw, unclenched. The neck, long and resting. The shoulders, lowering, lowering. The chest, rising and falling. The belly, calm, unguarded. The hips, heavy. The legs, warm and still. The feet, resting, resting. You don't need to force any of this. You can simply notice, and noticing by itself can be enough to invite the body into sleep. In the distance, you might imagine the Nile's shoreline at night, reeds whispering, a small lantern on a boat, the quiet splash of an oar. Each splash is like a slow syllable. Each pause between splashes is like the space between your breaths. Splash, pause, splash, pause. And if you listen closely, you can feel how the world is built from pauses. A pause between thoughts, a pause between tasks, a pause between days. Sleep is the longest pause the body takes. And it is not a mistake, it is care. It is the night taking its turn. So let the night take its turn now. Let the story become less important than the stillness behind it. Let the words become background like the soft hum of a room. And if you are still awake, you might hear the final, gentle repetition again, like a lullaby that does not end sharply. The desert is a blanket. The river is a breath. The granite door is cool and steady. The stars are quiet lamps, and you are safe. Stay here a little longer in this calm, nothing to do, nowhere to go. If you wake for a moment, the story will still be here, like a small light left on. And if you don't wake, that is perfect. Let your breathing carry you down softly until morning arrives with kindness. The story is almost finished now. Not in a sharp way, not like a book closing loudly, but in the way a candle's flame becomes smaller when the room is already warm enough. The words will keep moving for a little while, softly, so you don't have to feel any sudden silence. If you are asleep already, that's perfect. If you are awake, you can let your eyes be heavy. You can let the body sink. You can let the day fade into the distance like footsteps in sand. The desert night is still here. The sky is wide. The stars are steady, and the pink granite door stands beneath them, cool and patient, flecked with tiny sparkles that catch faint light like quiet laughter that never needs to be loud. The door does not open, it does not close, it simply stays, and there is comfort in things that stay. Inhale, exhale. If thoughts arrive, let them arrive without grabbing them. If memories appear, let them appear without chasing them. Everything can float past you tonight like clouds moving slowly across a moon. The ancient world beneath Saqqara remains covered by sand, resting. The statue gallery remains in darkness, still and calm. The carved false doors wait not for hands, but for gentle remembering. The offering lists remain like soft promises of enough. Bread, beer, cool water, flowers, incense, comfort written into stone. And whether water once rose in hidden chambers to ease heavy stone, or whether water simply lived in the imagination as sacred and steady, the feeling remains the same. Water is calm power. Water rises without shouting. Water carries without fighting. Water settles into level, and your breath can do the same. Inhale like water gathering in a basin. Exhale like water releasing into a wider space. When you hear the idea of lifting rocks using water, hydraulic power, do you picture the sound of steadily rising water, or a gentle flow in the dark? Tonight, you can let the answer be nothing more than a feeling, a steady rise in the chest, a slow release, a quiet weight becoming easier. If your mind tries to solve, you can let it rest instead. Not everything needs to be solved. Some things only need to be held gently for a moment and then set down. This is what sleep does. It sets things down. It does not throw them away. It simply places them on a shelf until morning. Now the story returns one last time to Ren, the name. Not for analysis, for warmth. Imagine a name carved into stone, carefully, with patience. A person saying, "Remember me kindly." And then imagine you offering yourself the same kindness. You can think your own name once, quietly, only if you want. And then let it go. You do not have to hold the shape of yourself tightly tonight. You can soften, you can loosen, you can drift. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. If you are still awake enough to hear this, let this be the last gentle invitation. If this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. And don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys. Wherever you are listening from tonight, thank you for being here. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Now the words will slow even more. The images will blur. The desert will become softer. The river will become quieter. The stars will feel farther away, and you will drift naturally without effort. The pink granite door stays. The sand covers what needs to be covered. The night takes its turn. And when you close your eyes, history sleeps again, and you do too.
Our story pauses here. Every visual and word you've experienced was assisted by AI, yet guided and perfected by sincere human emotion. We hope this harmony of history and technology has crafted a beautiful dream for you tonight. Let go and drift deep into sleep. Good night.